So in the last episode of Isla Napali, guys, we finally went on and started to redo the queue of the Big Dipper coaster. And in this episode today, we are also going to have a look into more of the queue improvement. So yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy it and lean back now and relax in the next episode of Isla Napali. Boom! So here we go. In this episode, and to be honest, this one is again one of the favorite episodes I made in the last couple of weeks, because I already talked about this in the last episode that I kind of moved this whole stuff away for a long time because I didn't really want to do this. It was kind of, the work is pretty tedious. I honestly had also not really an idea what to put there, and it was, this wonderful coincidence that we were playing on stream and a lot of people in the chat were active, so that was really good in terms of getting the input I needed. And yeah, a few things also came into my mind by doing all the Planet Zoo videos recently. So I looked into a lot of things regarding the staff management. As you have seen, maybe if you haven't, I would highly recommend to watch the last Planet Zoo video I made. I put the bubble up in this video, so you can just click it or just click the video at the end of the video on the end card, so that would be a thing. Because in this video I talked a lot about staff management and all these kind of backstage things you need to look at, and this is why I decided to change this here over a little bit. So for those of you, because there have been people questioning this or asking this in the last episode, yes, this is somewhat of a ancient is the wrong word. It's like an old warehouse that has been redone into a queue. So this is not so nice looking, and also using like metal scrap and all that kind of stuff, because simply this is an old building and you want to retake or reuse all the material you have at hand the best you can. And this is also, we talked about that a lot of times, this is a budget park, or at least it has been started as a budget park, and for a long time it definitely was a budget park, mainly also because you can also look into things, for example, like how will the old area look in the next couple of episodes. You will pretty much see that it is going to look a lot more less themed and a lot more let's say normal in terms of how an island would have been done and all these kind of things. Yeah, pretty much like that. So now I need to take a little second and get me some drink because my voice is somehow going away from me. So bear with me, but I'll be back in for you immediately, but for me in a second. Alright, so I hope that this will make the voice a little bit better. I just drank a little bit and yeah, I don't know, maybe because of yesterday evening, a lot of talky. By the way, a little story, a side note, I've got now 10 years, my Abitur, which is in Germany the highest school finishing exam you can do, so to say. I think in other countries it's called Matura or something like that, but it is just the high school finishing degree before you go to uni. And yeah, it's already 10 years ago, so we made a nice meeting with I think even 60 to 70% of the old class, which are like the whole grade. That was awesome. And yeah, the thing is, it was pretty freaking loud in there. I don't know what the DJ did think about that, but it was barely even possible to talk to other people, and maybe that's even the reason why my voice is gone a tiny bit. But hey, I hope it will be lasting for at least this episode, and maybe I'm doing another video for today regarding Planet Zoo, because as always I seem to have pretty much a pretty freaking talent in doing stuff like that. So I prepared that staff management Planet Zoo video yesterday, and I released it into the middle of the day, and just a few minutes later, Planet Coaster released a new screenshot, and I was like, wow, why the hell? Because this screenshot would have fit perfectly into the staff management episode, because it kind of revealed that we are really going to get staff management pathing, like in Parkitect, and it's not officially approved, but you can really tell from the screenshot that they are going to play with us. Maybe they even did this because of our guessing game we had in the last couple of days about the staff management, and then kind of want to have a little bit more fun now to fool us with these kind of screenshots. So I pretty much, I believe Frontier is that kind of nasty. So yeah. However, this is something that kind of kept me busy. because it's always the same. I'm going to bring something out and like 5 minutes later it's kind of old, which is very unfortunate for making YouTube videos in general, but hey, that's the way it is and I can't do too much about it. But now let's talk a bit more, because I feel like in the last couple of episodes we didn't really talk too much about Isla Napali. So today is the last episode of the new part. Well, it's not... Yeah, well, it is the last episode, but we definitely will have on Wednesday another episode of park flow, guest flow management, which hopefully will fix the queue of the kids coaster. So that's the last thing I'm going to do on this old area, or the new area, which is kind of the old area in terms of our series. It's complicated, but you know, Star Wars also was complicated to understand which episode was which episode. So here we go. I'm kind of doing the same. No, but in a story-wise, or in a storytelling-wise way, I have to say that for me, again, as the explanation was, it was better to start with the new part, and I'm really now really into the old part of the park. I can't wait to start. I've like a million ideas to realize that, and I've even put some photos, as you have seen in the Discord, of Isla Napali to make sure that this is really something really enjoyable for you guys. And oh yeah, by the way, I should go back into your comments. I think the log flume has won the battle by a mile. You guys decided that we will have a log flume, and now I'm really questioning myself whether I want to be doing the log flume first or first the wooden coaster. But a lot of people were already requesting the wooden coaster first, so I think I'm going to start with the wooden coaster, and then we will kind of build the log flume right afterwards. I have some ideas how to do it, but I will definitely need your feedback where to put it. So I was thinking about putting it to the seaside. Like there is a little bit of an open spot to the seaside where people actually, that was the area where people expected the wooden coaster to go. But you know, also in terms of in terms of weather effects and weather influence, it wouldn't make that much sense. But maybe we can put the log flume there and just kind of make some security areas for the water to go if there would be flooding, because the idea to have it close to the water does make perfect sense to me, because we will need a whole lot of water to kind of use the log flume and to make it work. And if you will make it work, you potentially won't try to carry the water for too far. You basically, what you want to do always is you definitely want to go and carry the water as like distance-wise as little as possible. So that makes also the energy usage kind of more cheap for you and more effective, rather than being very expensive and stuff. Well, yeah, but that's going to happen in the next couple of episodes. For now, as you can see, in this episode I'm struggling quite a bit to fill in the queue over here, because the overall challenge was that it always it always had the issue that this is, as I said, an old warehouse, and realistically there would have been only a bit of industrial style stuff in here, as the pipe work that I just did, and also some smaller little issues. What am I talking about? Some smaller things like barrels, and you know, just some storage area and all these kind of stuff. And then I kind of think they would have fitted a queue in here like the way I just did. But the question is, how can you make this still look like a little bit themed without making it too much themed? So it is kind of difficult, and also because of the path being raised and always has this ugly curb to it, I also questioned myself how to find a solution for this, because I really wanted to make the curb disappear as much as possible. So with the stair area it was pretty easy, because I could easily cover it up with the walls. But yeah, as you can see, this little raise or incline you have before you go into the bridge is barely even themable, I should say. And yeah, also about the kind of style I wanted to go for here, I really was not feeling it, what I wanted to put here, and so I was doing some stuff, deleting it over and over again, and it's already a bit cut out from what I've done then later on again, because this was pretty much all built on screen while being on Twitch live stream. But then a few minutes later it kind of appeared to me that I need to rework a tiny bit of it. It was only like a little bit of detail corrections, but this was really important to me that this somehow works out and just gets together and looks like something really nice. But yeah, I need to drink a little bit, so in a split second I'll be back with you. So here we go. Okay, yeah, as you can see, I'm putting a little flower pot in here, which I took from the other area of the queue, so it kind of makes the theme go hand in hand and kind of remains the same in both kind of towers, or both warehouses, if you will. So it really does make sense to use the pieces you have already used in the queue to make sure that it looks a little bit like the same as it looked before. But yeah, well, I do have to admit that this queue really gave me a huge struggle in what I want to do and what I feel like fits the right thing. So yeah, I was actually struggling a bit to what extent I want to theme it. In the end, I am pretty happy with the result, I have to admit. Like, it really is looking as I wanted it to look. It doesn't really look too nice and tidy, but it also doesn't look too much like an old stinky warehouse where you just slap the path in, right? You have a lot of theme parks that do basically only this. They kind of just build a queue and then they just put themselves in a position where they, I don't know, just put some signs in and some lamps and that's it, right? And then they just go with it and they call it industrial style, which is by no means cool. It's pretty much something very boring to look at and also something boring for the immersion of people. So I kind of wanted to create an immersion still, wanted to make sure that this immersion is working. So yeah, bear with me if you don't like it, but I think it is something very nice to have indeed, and I am really willing to continue working in this park this way, so that I'm trying to use the things that would have been there in the past. So that will be even more of a thing for the old part of the park, because this will feature a lot more buildings that have been there before it has been changed into a theme park. And I'm pretty much also thinking that this Big Dipper coaster for the first building of the more modern part was definitely something that that was the first approach on making it all a bit more themed and a bit more usable in terms of theme park rather than warehouse. And this is also the reason why they tried a few bits and pieces here and there, and why they started to make it all look a bit more nicer. And then eventually in the close path, or like in the closest path, the dive coaster has been installed as the main big attraction, which then is the first thing that is a bit more themed, because it only uses an old warehouse as the switch track building, but the rest of the building is being kind of built only for theme park reasons. And I think this is also defining the style of what you have, rather than just making something that looks rather good, rather bad, I don't know, but it kind of uses only what has been there. If you can go from scratch, you can always do something better. And then in addition, if you do have the financial resources to do so, it always helps, obviously. But yeah, as you can see, I'm doing something here which I haven't done too much in this park yet, but I used the billboards also as a carpet, and I forgot 2 times to hit the ready button, and this is why it never applied the texture, which is always nasty because you need to, you know, scroll back down and then just use it. And yeah, all of a sudden you are just pissed because you didn't find the right image. However, as you can see now, it is, yeah, I mean, in comparison to many of the other videos you have seen in the past, a lot of stuff more has been done in an episode, but this episode really is only focusing on this left tower with a little bit of, you know, pieces right and left to the building. I wanted to make this little pathway as a special exit, which is also a bit hidden, so it's not as obvious as it was before, where everything was open and, you know, the people could easily look into the backstage area. This is what I wanted to somehow hide away a bit better, and this is why. Whoops, what was that? Okay, something weird happened here in the room. I don't know if you could hear that, but that was a bit, something cracked. I believe it's because it's getting a bit warmer in here since the sun is really hitting the roof a bit harder. So I believe it could have been that. No, heating isn't on. Okay, I don't know. Well, but let me just finish up the sentence I was just about to start. So, yes, This was one thing I wasn't really liking before, because people could easily watch the backstage area between this big warehouse and the octopus ride, and now I completely closed the whole thing off, and for the little bits of pieces here I have still open, I kept a little bit of foliage so that, you know, most of the parts are hidden away. So the only spot where you can look into the backstage is from the bridge that crosses over from the left warehouse to the right warehouse, but I went for this kind of little compliment or compromise, if you want, simply because, you know, I didn't want to close it off, because like having a bridge which is kind of closed in this climate areas, it kind of is not the best idea to have for people. It's very stiff in there, stinky in there then, and you know, the airflow is barely even given. So yeah, pretty bad experience for the guests, and that's why I went for keeping it open rather than keeping the immersion. However, we are hitting the end of this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it today. I hope you enjoyed this whole modern part of Isla Napali, and I hope you're also as much as I looking forward to the new area. And yeah, let me know again in the comments if you liked the new iteration of the queue, and let me know how your time was and if you're looking forward to the next one. So until next episode, enjoy your time, guys, and bye bye.
Wherever we may find love that's flowing on.